welcome to the Epic Games podcast. I'm Raxilla. I have with me to my right, Flack. How's it going, Flack?
It's fine, thank you.
Big deal, E3 this week. We have with us as a guest today, Epic Games Director of Production, Rod Fergusson. How's it going, Rod?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing very well. So it's been a little while since we last spoke. We had you on the Forces of Nature live stream a couple of months ago.
Apparently I've lost camera privileges. I'm forced to audio now. We're going back to the radio age. That's awesome.
It's really here's the thing about managing community. It's really about fan feedback.
Oh, and they said get Rod off camera. I appreciate that.
We love the voice, the face,
the
not
face,
so much.
Not so much. Sound like my wife.
But when we
exactly.
but when we last talked to you, there's a lot of excitement, obviously, for Forces of Nature from the community. But the big question also was, okay, so like, what's next? Is this it? Like, are we done with Gears of War? And we found out earlier this week via a new trailer that is not the case. There's some Gears of War left.
There is a brand new Gears game. In fact, Gears of War Judgment. It's an awesome game in the Gears of War universe that talks about the story of when Baird was a lieutenant and was in charge of his own squad, Kilo Squad, with Cole, and the adventures they went on in Halvo Bay.
And it's being co-developed with People Can Fly?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the things that's really interesting about this title is that we're able to work with People Can Fly to kind of take it to a different place. It's not the same Gears gameplay that you're used to. It's a lot more intense. It's a different style of campaign, and so it's highly replayable. It's got this really cool system of rewarding you as you play, so you can kind of keep score of how you're doing. So it's just a very unique twist. It's not the same old Gears. But what's really cool about it, though, is that we have a new multiplayer mode that we're actually showing this week in E3, and people are having a lot of fun with it down in the booth.
So what's the new mode?
It's called Overrun, and basically it's taking it's the chocolate and peanut butter. It's the chocolate is Horde and the peanut butter is Beast, and it's like a sort of a Horde versus Beast mashup.
I like peanut butter and jelly better than chocolate.
Well,
I prefer peanut butter and chocolate.
There we go.
All right, 2-1. Now we go. I see how these decisions are made.
That's how it's made. Really. No, yeah. So but essentially what it came from was really interesting when we created co-op Horde and then we created co-op Beast. When I was doing press for Gears of War 3, a lot of the questions from the reporters and from fans were like, well, this is cool, I like this, but how come that you don't have a competitive way to play these? It seems like a natural fit to make Horde and Beast be competitive. And we were like, well, that's not something. We tried it really early on, and it didn't have the success we wanted to have because it didn't feel like you're being overrun, if you will, with locusts. It didn't feel like Horde. And so that was one of the things when we talk about Judgment, it was, what are all the things that people have really wanted from the franchise that we haven't yet delivered to them? And this was one of those things. And we said, well, let's give this a try. And actually, as we played with it more and had time to focus on it, we realized that this could work, but we had to change it. And one of the ways we've really made a big change is by creating this class-based system with the COG, where you can play as one of 4 classes, whether it be a medic, an engineer, a scout, or a soldier, and you're able to defend against the locust in a class-based way.
So this basically comes from player feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the idea, the seed of that idea of like, can you take those two things and mash them together is definitely something that was sort of driven by, this is something we want. And so we're like, well, let's take a look at it. If people want it so badly, and let's see if we can actually make it work.
Great.
The E3 version that will be on the floor there is a little bit different than what we'll be seeing in game, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the challenges of the E3 is just that you want to get people in and out pretty quickly, and you can't take the time to sort of go through a really long demo. I mean, right now what we're looking at for shipping is about you play basically the way you play is you play a round as the locust and a round as the cog, and then you compare scores and victor is declared. And right now it's about 20 minutes, like it's about 10 minutes per. But a 20-minute demo on the floor is just too long, and so what we've done is we've sort of taken it and we've really concatenated it down to a very just super intense. Because normally in Overrun, it's you have 3 objectives, and right now we've just simplified it to as a locust, you want to move up the battlefield. So you're trying to. The first objective is capture this basically unplug an e-hold so that you can now spawn from there. And then there's a second one as well to move up the battlefield. And then there's a generator, which may actually change. The actual names of these objectives might actually change between the demo and release. But for now, it's 2 e-holes and a generator is what we have in our. And so what we decided to do is to take out those 2 e-holes and just have you come in and attack the generator.
Sounds
right
like a viral video. 2 e-holes, 1 generator.
2 e-holes, 1 generator. It does, and you do not want to see what comes out of the e-holes. No.
I knew it was going to get broken.
Yeah, and it was him who did it. I was being totally fine. 2 e-holes, 1 generator.
Sorry, I was actually disappointed
that I did not go with
You
it.
said that and just totally.
It's the difference, I guess, of not being on camera. I'm used to, without having the visual reference that I'm trying to, attempting to be funny and filming. But so anyway, it's a much shorter. So it's about 6 minutes now instead of the 20 to play. And one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to have people get experience with each of the classes. So rather than going in the normal game, when you go in, you can pick whatever class you want to be on the COG side. You can be any of the 4 that you want. But for E3, we have the stations locked to a particular class. So Station 1 will be a medic, Station 2 will be an engineer, that kind of thing. And so when you go in, you pick your station, and for that 3-minute round, as when you're playing, I mean, it's a 6-minute demo, but for that 3-minute round as the COG, you're going to be that one class. And so just get back in line, and then you can try the other classes as well. But it's all about focused on how can we quickly get across what it is we're trying to do in the most fun and intense way, but yet not be so long that we can't get enough people to try.
What map are people going to be playing at E3?
We are going to be playing we are playing a map called Rooftops, and so it has no relation to Rooftop from Gears of War 1, the map we said we'd never make again. It happens to be that.
I'm disappointed because I was ready to call you a liar. Like when we, I heard that
Why
was
are
going
you
to
waiting?
be
You call me that anyway. And so no, there's no Easter egg of a guy sitting on a toilet somewhere off to the side, although now that I've said that, I'm sure we'll probably find a way to do that. So basically it's just we happen to be fighting across the tops of buildings, aka rooftops, and so it's just it's the map we're bringing to E3 for people to see. If they take a look at Game Informer that's out this week, they can also see Island, which is another one of our overrun maps. But so we sort of we decided which of the 2 we wanted to bring, and Rooftop seemed to be clearly the most different and interesting for new players to kind of figure out. So yeah, the people are having a blast.
Cool. What do you look forward to, when you go out to E3? Is there something, outside of the sort of epic duties and things that you have to do this week? Is there other stuff you're looking forward to?
It's mainly the interactions with the people. I mean, even though it's certainly not as great as Comic-Con, where you're kind of really dealing with the sort of the consumer, the person who's literally buying the game and playing. Like you're kind of dealing more press people, but it's still there's a feedback mechanism there that I really like. And typically, what happens is I end up working full shifts all day for the entire time, so I don't really get to see the floor much. I don't get to walk around that much to see other games, so I tend to be very focused on doing behind closed door interviews or doing some demo and that kind of stuff. But the energy you get off that, it's a little harder again with press to get that energy, but you certainly do get that sense of people reacting and telling you what they like and don't like. And I really like when usually E3 means it's a reveal of something that's been behind closed doors for a long time, so you kind of you have your own feelings about it, and so getting that either affirmed or being told maybe this is where things could improve, it's always interesting.
Is that something that's happened in the past? Can you think of a specific example where you thought, oh man, here's this overwhelming piece of feedback that we got on something at E3, that we ended up making a change in the game?
I think the biggest one, it's an old story, but it's probably the big strongest one from a positive sense is the very first E3 we went to with Gears 1, where we didn't have multiplayer in the game. We tried to make multiplayer. We felt like it wasn't going to do very well because it was very simplistic, and we didn't think it was going to be successful. And so we spent another weekend basically crunching to get this thing done to a point where we felt like, okay, at least it's got the base of what we want to have. And then when we took that to E3, and then it became this phenomenon where celebrities were coming in and executives were coming in because we were behind closed doors, and so they had to kind of know the secret handshake to get in. They were like, hey, I heard something really cool back here, I want to see it, and having those people come in and play and have a lot of excitement, that was something we were like, oh crap, okay, we can't, because for a while Gears of War 1 was going to be a single player only game, and So it was that experiment and then that sort of confirmation at E3 that it was actually a legitimate multiplayer.
I actually remember that E3. That was the first E3 I ever went to, and I did not get to go and back
Such
there
a
and see it.
youngster.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was only for cool people, so I can understand why we wouldn't let you in.
They didn't let me in because I was too much of a fangirl.
All right, we'll let you get back to your E3. I'm sure we'll talk to you again in the future at some point. Try not to hurt yourself too much.
Well, yeah, it's hard on the throat, so I'm actually doing okay today. But yeah, we'll see what I'm doing, how I'm feeling at the end of this week.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't checked out the Game Informer yet, make sure you do that. Tomorrow we're going to be joined by Quinn Deloyo, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Overrun, maybe a little bit more specifically about some of the player classes and things like that.
So don't miss that one.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.